Monday Night Wars podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Monday Night Wars. It is April 21st, 1997, and we are live with WCW Nitro at the Saginaw Civic Center in Saginaw, Michigan, as promised by Lee Marshall. With me is Joseph. What you got? Who you wearing there? Who you wearing there? I can't see.
Two dudes with attitude.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Joseph Rojas. How you doing, my friend?
I feel like crap, to be honest.
What? Why are you feeling like crap?
I've been dealing with a stomach bug for like the last few days, so I'm just trying to get through that. Yeah.
Yeah. You got the run?
No, I mean I used to. Now I'm just dealing with the aftermath. That's why I got myself a nice let's see, where's my camera? There it is. Ginger ale.
It's hard to do that.
Ginger ale always helps. So
We'll get better soon.
my lovely wife made sure to grab me some.
I don't even know why I'm letting you do this episode since you denied me WrestleMania 13. Now I know you're ill.
Because I'm not puking my guts out. That's why.
Whatever. What technicalities? Anyways, J.J. Dillon is in the building.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's big. It's big. Hour number one, Tony, Larry, and we got Dino Malenko putting the U.S. heavyweight title. I didn't realize it was a heavyweight title. I thought it was just like the U.S., but I think it's technically the U.S. heavyweight title.
Correct.
I don't know if I would classify Dino Malenko as a heavyweight, but we got him. We got Dino, and we got Yu-Gi-Oh! Nagata. Yuji Nagata.
Yeah.
Famous, big star in Japan. I have no idea. Tell me about this one.
It's a surprisingly lengthy and fun match, but Malenko ultimately wins this with the cloverleaf. There's no storyline in it. This is a match that WCW fans aren't really going to give a shit about. They just kind of want Malenko to win, and he does. So it gets a B.
Well, all right. And then we keep rolling because we don't have time for stories at WCW. We only got time for 400 matches. This is actually, I don't think there's actually that many matches tonight versus, this is kind of a light match night. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Only 8.
Only
8 matches. Yeah. Last week I counted it was 10, I think. So this is a light load for WCW tonight. Maybe we'll get some storylines. After that, though, we got Glacier versus Cyclope. I don't think you really call this much of a match because it's like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But
and Glacier sucks chants ring out through the crowd.
Yes.
So that's good. Glacier wins, and then Wrath comes out with Mortis and James Vanderbeek, and they beat up Glacier, and the crowd cheers. It gets a D. It's not good.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Actually. Because Glacier wins with his kick, which is just the slowest kick I've ever seen in my life. Like I said, I've described him as like a boss in like an Elden Ring or something where he's got some big charge up time to do his heavy attack, and that gives you the opportunity to kind of parry it or whatever. I feel like that's every move Glacier does because he's just got these like everything's kind of slow, and it sucks though because I want to like Glacier, and they just completely botched this. Just completely botched start to finish Glacier. Just kind of sad. After that, though, we go to Tony. Tony's talking about why J.J. Dillon's here. Apparently, Eric Bischoff has been relieved of his duties. He is no longer in charge. And the board of directors at WCW has made J.J. Dillon. The official title, I think Tony uses, is Big Cheese in the WCW. So there we go. There we go. You got anything to say about this?
No. We roll right into Nick Patrick interrupting commentary.
Yeah, so let's get to it, Dr. No. Nick Patrick. What?
I've been expecting you, Bond.
Mm-hmm. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. I think it's actually Auric Goldfinger, but that's one of my favorites. That's actually one of my favorite Bond villain lines because, they usually give the plot, because that's the moment in most of the Bond movies where the villain gives the plot away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what I'm going to do because I know you're going to die. And instead, Goldfinger subverts our expectations and says, no, Mr. He goes, you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. And then he leaves. It's fantastic. I love it.
Well, that's why
I also love
in all the Austin Powers movies, like Scotty gets really upset when he's like telling him the entire plan. And then he's just like, you just don't get it, do you?
You don't get it, do you, Scott? Anyways, I don't know why he turned into Sean Connery at the end.
I don't know. Scott, you don't get
it. Yeah, that'd be great, though. That's a good, you a good Sean Connery. But yeah, you mentioned, why don't you tell us? Because you mentioned Nick Patrick interrupting things.
Yeah, he comes out and he says he just wants a couple minutes. He just wants to talk a couple minutes. And he says, everyone knows that he's petitioned for reinstatement and he'd like to clear up a couple points. I didn't know that he had petitioned for a reinstatement, but everybody knew, apparently. And he says he wants to apologize to all the WCW employees affected by his actions, but there are a few he will not apologize to. He thought the NWO was an opportunity for the little man to make a statement, but the people he wanted to make a statement against, the NWO is now catering to, like the Macho Man Randy Savage or Eric Bischoff, who needs everyone to know he is the boss and has power. My boy's shooting here. He says through all the ups and downs, he's still here, and not everyone can say that. He wants to be a referee again. It's fine. It's a fine segment. Gets a B from me. And J.J. Dillon will touch on it a little bit later on in the night. But this is just a real quick, hey, Nick Patrick's a good guy kind of segment.
I didn't even know he had been fired. Did that happen? Did we see that? I don't remember that. Like, he's been reffing stuff.
He's been reffing, but he kind of got fired by NWO and his contract was with them, I guess, or some shit. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That does make sense. Yeah, because he didn't throw the match for them. Yeah. So they beat his ass. Okay. That makes sense. We didn't really express that. It was never really explained or expressed. And I forget. Sometimes I forget they're two different entities in theory, right? Because I guess we're still kind of doing that, but whatever. After that, though, we got a match. We got the TV title on TV. Ultimo Dragon versus Bobby Eaton. I've actually heard of Bobby Eaton, so I'm okay.
That's true.
Although we know what's going to happen. But tell me.
Dragon wins with the Dragon Sleeper, and it gets a C.
Just a C. All right. Okay. But this isn't going to get a C. This next thing is going to get an A from you. I guarantee it. We got Mean Gene talking to Lord Steven Regal. Need I say more? Bless you. Need I say more? A+.
Well, you cannot sway me on my grade, sir. I'm gonna critique this right down the middle because I am an honest and impartial grader when it comes to my wrestling. Gene says, we have heard that Duchess Sarah Ferguson has been spending time with Lord Steven Regal. Sarah Ferguson had recently divorced Prince Andrew, who was the Duke of York. She gets to keep the Duchess title until the end of her days, as is policy in British royalty and all that shit. Regal says, in reference to allegedly spending time with the Duchess Sarah Ferguson, it was like spending time with a ripped out fireplace. My God, Regal, this is a family show. Gene Gene almost starts laughing. Regal says he will win the TV title for a fourth time against Ultimo and says Americans always have problems with the Japanese. Regal saying Sarah Ferguson got railroaded and bringing up World War II in the same promo. My God, it gets an impartial A+ from me.
I told you. He's Steven Regal. The man knows what he's doing. And I'm so glad we had fewer matches so we could get that in.
Yes.
But we're moving on because we got a match. We've got Ming versus Christopher Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about Ming versus Chris Jericho.
I feel like we're at a point in Chris Jericho's career where he could have never become who he was going to become. Like, this is it right here. Because he gets jobbed the fuck out to Ming in this match. And then Gene interviews Ming, kind of. Ming doesn't really say a whole lot, except for he does scream at the very end. He interviews him and Jimmy Hart. Hart says some nonsense about Sullivan, who then comes out and he says something, but Jacqueline is a little distracting. We'll call it that. She's wearing a dress that does not leave a lot to the imagination. Sullivan says he doesn't care about his ex or his son, who both left him, but he is disappointed in his daughter leaving him. Bro, you're the problem.
This is getting nasty.
This gets an F. It's bad.
He's shooting on himself now. Like, what is this? What is this? Because
no one knows.
Who's brought up his daughter? I don't think Benoit's even talked about the daughter. He's talked about how the wife left him and the son doesn't talk to him. And Kevin Sullivan's like, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about how my daughter hates me. What? Jesus.
It's wild.
I don't get it. Yeah, and then Jimmy also talks about, like, they're going to unleash Ming on Benoit tonight. Does that happen?
No,
there's no match.
I don't even care. That's how little I give a shit, dude. It's so bad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then, and then Benoit, who is not there or something, because he doesn't come out, but they give him even though Ming's going to apparently rip him a new one tonight, I don't think he's here because he doesn't come out. He doesn't do anything. They do a video package for him after this. This needs to stop. The Steiner Brothers versus Public Enemy, because we just got to move on. Does someone go through a table, Joseph? Does someone go through a table?
No.
They might not on this one. Yeah.
Someone does not go through a table. Steiner's music hits, but they never come out. We have cameras backstage apparently, and they show that Conan and Hugh Morris attacked them. The big rivalry that we've been leading to for weeks of Conan and Hugh Morris versus the Steiners.
Yes.
That we've absolutely seen on TV a lot. They still come out, by the way. Steiners still come out, and then Conan and Morris attack them again mid-match, and it gets a DQ. This is a D. It's bad. It's not good.
Yeah. Our expectations were subverted, though. No one went through a table.
That's true.
No one went through a table. So I mean, there is that. It didn't end how we suspected.
True.
So at least there is that. Then, though, we go back to an incident last week to highlight that Steve Mongo McMichael and Reggie White got beef. Because apparently this is a thing that's worth promoting, worth hyping. That's a match at Slamboree. And I think it's the only match they've announced. So this is the match they think people are...
Is Slamboree May 18th? Because if it is, then we know that Piper, Flair, and Kevin Green have their match against.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they have announced that. Let me go on the Google machine. Here. I'm going to... Like the old telegraphs sound.
Yeah.
That's me going to the Google machine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's May 18th, 1997. Okay, so we know. So I guess to be fair, yeah, because Steven Regal, Ultimo Dragon, we just got that match.
Yes, that's true.
We've got the Ric Flair match. We've been told that. And we've got the Reggie White match. I think that's it. Apparently, Ming and Chris Benoit are going at it too at Slamboree. Maybe that's what the whole point of that was, and they blew it because I don't think they ever talk about Slamboree in that conversation. Maybe that's what Jimmy Hart meant about how Ming was going to get let loose on him. Not tonight at Slamboree. So, yeah. Oh, and Glacier versus Mortis, because that's a story they've been hyping.
Absolutely,
pretty exciting. It actually is technically a story they've kind of been hyping. Like I feel like they created Mortis, for Glacier, but also no,
yeah.
But yeah. Call the 1-800 number. Buy that pay-per-view. Boy, howdy. After that, Jeff Jarrett with Deborah versus Scotty Riggs.
We got a segment between that.
Almost 4 minutes this one. Well, do we?
Yeah, we got Gene interviewing JJ Dillon, what they've been building to the entire night.
I didn't write it down. That's how hyped I was. Tell me about it.
So Dillon has been named WCW chairman, or as Tony Schiavone said earlier, the Big Cheese. He says it has been a busy day for him, but it's an honor to be named chairman. Schiavone interrupts and asks Gene to ask JJ Dillon about Nick Patrick. And JJ Dillon says he will have to strongly consider the case, but gives no affirmative or negative answer on it. He also says that Bischoff no longer has any authority. But he does have an ironclad contract. So unless he breaches it, he will retain his title as executive vice president. Bischoff then starts walking out. Dillon says NWO contracts are also valid. They are here to stay with 2 exceptions. He says Big Bubba and Mike Wall Street's contracts are not valid. So they are no longer allowed to be in the NWO, which is their way of writing them off the NWO, which is a horrible way. Bischoff then says, "Bite me," which is a phrase that Bischoff is going to try to get over for the next year.
Yes.
Then Bischoff says, "You wanted to fire me." Yeah. He says, "You wanted to fire me, but you can't." He says he made WCW the #1 wrestling company on the planet. Yes or no? And Dillon says yes. Bischoff continues, "Now that I want to make the NWO the #1 company, you guys have a problem? Yes or no?" And then Dillon doesn't really say yes, but he says, "Yes, you are a problem." Bischoff then says, "Bite me." And then Dillon says Bischoff didn't do this alone. He had trust, as in he didn't make WCW #1 alone. He had trust, and he betrayed it. At which point Bischoff says, and Scott, wait for this zinger. Bet you're not ready for this.
Okay.
Bischoff says, "Bite me."
Oh, what a guy. Yeah.
The segment's actually not bad, to be fair. It's not a bad segment. It's a B segment. It's fine. We're setting up Dillon. It is what it is. But the Bischoff trying to get over "bite me" thing is going to get real irritating.
Well, and the writing off Big Bubba and Michael Wall Street, I like that we're getting rid of them in the NWO because I don't think they should be in the NWO.
Right.
But we just it's just a throwaway line like, their contracts aren't valid. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Why aren't they valid? Why is everybody else's contract valid but not theirs? I don't understand. Can someone explain this to me?
Well, he does explain it, but his explanation makes no sense. He says the legal window to convert their contracts, Mike Wall Street and Big Bubba, were outside of that window. But Mike Wall Street and Big Bubba were the first 2 to convert their contracts. So in fact, they shouldn't have been outside. If you were to make that case, then it would be Bagwell who would have been outside that window. Because Bagwell, I think, is the last person. Him and Norton are the 2 last people to have moved over.
Yeah, but they're pretty good in the NWO, so we can't have that.
That's true.
I mean, that's the real reason. That's the real reason, right?
Yeah.
They're working.
Yeah.
And Wall Street and Big Bubba are not working. So, all right. Yeah, and as I was saying, For the record, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't slip up here. I was concerned that I had not done my due diligence. I had not written this down. I actually did write it down. I just didn't hit the enter button between the match and this. So this was all part of the same paragraph, and I just kind of wrote it off as all being the match. And I didn't look very closely. So I apologize to you. Mistakes were made, and it will not happen again. But we do have a match now. We got Jeff Jarrett versus Scotty Riggs, the match you've wanted, you've needed, you have it. Tell me about Scotty Riggs versus Double J, Jeff Jarrett, about 4 minutes.
Scotty Riggs still has the American Males theme, which makes me laugh because the American Males theme is essentially just them saying American males over and over, but it's American males, not American male. So yes, he's technically the American male Scotty Riggs, but it's pluralized, so it doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, Reggie White is in the crowd again. We got a hype tape for him earlier, like you mentioned, but he's in the crowd. He's in the crowd now. I think they're in where are we at, Scott? Is it Wisconsin? Is that where we're at? Or Michigan? One of the Michigan.
Saginaw, Michigan.
Yeah, okay. Mongo eventually comes out with the Halliburton, but Reggie White says, no, you're not allowed to do that. So he kind of gets in the way. And then Jeff Jarrett still wins. It causes no change in the outcome. Jeff Jarrett doesn't even lose. He just wins. So Scotty Riggs gets nothing for this, and it gets a D. Yeah. It's a really, really bad idea on the booking part.
Yeah, the whole thing is weird. Why? Like it doesn't make sense. I mean, I think that, Mongo and Jeff Jarrett are feuding, right? We've talked about this. They're together, but they're not because they're both kind of after Deborah. I think that's, they don't say that directly, but I kind of feel like that's the illusion, right? They're both kind of fighting over Deborah's affections. They're accidentally or not accidentally hitting each other with the Halliburton and stuff over and over and over. Seems like that's what you do here. Reggie gets the Halliburton and clocks Mongo or something with it, and it causes Jeff Jarrett to lose, which creates which continues the fighting between Jarrett and Mongo. But we don't do any of that. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And then we go into the next match. We got a cruiserweight match. We got Six, the working champion, versus Rey Mysterio Jr. And this is a good one. About 6 minutes. Kevin Nash is there too.
This is a good one. There is one thing that I will say I don't like about it, but we'll get there in a bit. Shivani is talking about an upcoming event, and then he pauses for a while. He's talking about where it's located. And Bobby Heenan says Charlotte, like it's in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where it's at. This infuriates Shivani, who goes on a rant about how he was just taking a breath, and you can't convince me that this was just an ad lib about character work. Heenan and Shivani did not get along. This is very clearly Shivani is like up to here with Heenan. Not saying Shivani is in the right here, but they didn't get along. Anyways, so during this match, Nash is in Six's corner, and he calls Six-Pac a number of times. This is the first time we've heard him referred to as that. And hence, later on, he'll become X-Pac and all that. That's why. Six goes for a Bronco Buster. Let's ride. Mysterio almost wins with the Rana, but he can't hook the legs. Rey has Six knocked out outside of the ring while Randy Anderson is checking on him. Nash destroys Rey from behind with a big boot and then hits the jackknife. Six picks up the win, but JJ Dillon runs out and he's like, no. And I'm like, cool, okay. JJ Dillon going to lay down the law. And this point on is where I don't like this. Because instead of any of that, he just gets Rey stretchered out. Dillon says this kind of behavior won't be tolerated any further. And Nash and Six laugh while they say, and just hang on to this one, Scott, just wait for it. He said, he says that, won't be tolerated, right? And then they say, this kills me every time. They say,
okay,
bite me.
Whoa. That's going to go on t-shirts.
Yeah,
I think it does.
Absolutely.
It does.
Doesn't
Eric get it? Yeah.
This is a huge swing and a miss. What should have happened here is J.J. Dillon should have come out and kicked out Nash and forced a restart, at which point Ray wins the title. This would show that Dillon actually has power and that he's going to wield it. Instead, what we get is more WCW officials yelling and nothing happens. So I'm giving it a B. It started off really strong. Everything was great up until the point of he's finished running out. Once he starts getting Ray stretchered off, it all falls apart. So, yeah.
He kicks Six and Nash out, presumably out of the building, because like security comes out and walks them out. Like he's just, I feel like he's kicking them out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. They get kicked out because of their behavior, but Six still has the title. They got the win. Mysterio's dead. Yeah, what good was that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, even if Ray was seriously hurt, right? Like that's the angle he wanted to go with. He could have said, you know what? Ray lost tonight, but it was because of interference. So at Slamboree, he's going to get his rematch. And on this match, all NWO members are barred from ringside or something, right? Something so it's like
it's in a cage or something.
Yeah, you guys put yourself in a position where I had to act, but they don't. There's none of that. It's just, oh, you can't do that. Well, you've been saying that for a year and a half now.
Yeah, it seems like you put them in a cage or you make it a lumberjack match where there's WCW guys and NWO guys or something, so it's a fair fight.
Yeah.
Something, right? Yeah. Think that could be a good pay-per-view thing, but instead, just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of whatever, we got a Lex promo. It's all right.
We
you
do?
got anything to say about the Lex promo? It's like
a
hype video.
Anything. Oh,
it's a hype video.
Okay, gotcha. I was like, I remember a promo. Gotcha.
So the answer is no. You don't got anything to say about the Lex hype video. It's fine. I'll tell you. I wrote down it's fine. So that's my review of it. After that, though, we got something that's more than fine. We got something that's so fine, it's like an aged wine. We are on the road with Lee Marshall. It's a highlight of every WCW, I say NWO, every WCW Nitro. We got Norfolk, Virginia coming up, and they're having a Nitro party. And let me tell you,
Absolutely.
it is the Nitro party. And Joseph, you want me to give me the weasel joke of the day?
Oh, I'd love to.
You got it?
I'd love to.
Okay.
So Tony's so Lee says, Tony, as a native Virginian, didn't know that. He must know all about Norfolk's military importance. Did you know about Norfolk's military importance, Scott?
I did, yeah. It's a big Navy town.
See, there you go. I knew my boy Scott would come through. But he also
found a lot of shipbuilding.
But he also found that Norfolk is the birthplace of Mr. Las Vegas, the Midnight Idol, Wayne Newton. Supposedly a music historian around there has found some of Wayne's earlier recordings. He was the lead singer for a few groups before he became a solo act. He was with the Rolling Rodents, and then a group called Crewmen and the Vermin, another group called Earth, Wind, and Fur, but he really broke loose with Creedence Clearweasel Revolting. Bobby says Lee should put his false teeth back in his mouth and bite himself in the neck. And it gets an A+ for me. It's fantastic.
Love it. Love it. Nothing. I'm so hyped for the night now.
Yes, absolutely.
Nothing can bring me down.
Nothing.
They can't do anything. They can't show me anything that will upset me.
Oh.
I'm on a Lee Marshall high.
What if, hypothetical, right? Because I agree.
Tell me.
I'm on the same, wavelength, way up here. What if you took someone really important in the annals of television and movies, right? So a really underrated and underappreciated but fantastic actor like Robert Vaughn. Just throwing out names, someone like Robert Vaughn, right? And what if you took him right?
Uh-huh.
And then
Mhm.
you were like, oh, he's now a member of the NWO. Would that ruin your night?
Yes.
Well, that won't ever happen, right, Scott?
No, it does.
Oh,
It's
fuck.
the next segment. Because we go to Hollywood Hogan,
Mhm.
who is on the set of his movie McKinsey Island. And Robert Vaughn is there. Apparently, he's in the movie.
Yes.
That's what the internet tells me. He's in the movie.
Mhm.
It's not well rated. It's got a
Nope.
3.3 out of 10 on the IMDb.
Uh-huh.
Currently not available to watch anywhere, so I'm not going to watch it for anybody. If it's free, if there's a Hogan movie that pops up and it's free somewhere, I'm going to watch it and give a review. But this, thank God, is not. But yeah, it stars Hulk Hogan, Grace Jones, and Robert Vaughn, and they're all there. They're all in this promo. Grace Jones ain't in the NWO though. Only Robert Vaughn. What do you make of this?
No, Grace Jones in the
It's terrible.
NWO. She's in the NWO.
Oh, she in the NWO too? I thought
Yeah.
they only said
No.
I thought they only said Robert Vaughn was in.
Yeah. Yeah, they said it's look, it's horrible. Robert Vaughn, if you don't know where you've seen Robert Vaughn, there's three that I can think of that are most notable. The first one is Magnificent Seven. He's in Magnificent Seven. He's fantastic in it. Second one is Bullet, with starring Steve McQueen. Another fantastic movie. And then the third one is, for me, he has multiple guest spots on the hit show Columbo. And usually, if you were the starring guest, you
Oh.
were the main, like you were what the whole episode was centered around. So he has
Yeah,
quite a
yeah,
few
yeah.
episodes on there, and he's fantastic. Great, great, great performer, actor, and just wildly underrated. And just to see that this is what his career has become is so depressing.
Yeah, let's see what the synopsis for this movie is. Let's see what it's only a
It's
sentence. A
it's
former oh,
Yep, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, a former secret agent finds a treasure map
Mhm,
and decides to find the loot, but he's not the only one.
mhm. It's an action comedy.
Wow. Big Show's in it too.
Yes,
Did
he
you know
is. Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
There's quite a few wrestlers apparently in it.
Yeah, Brutus Beefcake is in it as, like, an extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stunt
Ed
person.
Leslie as he is on on the IMDb. They use his real name. But yeah, so not good. Bad actually. Some might even say terrible. And yeah, I'm kind of out now. Anyways, after that, the NWO comes out, minus
Mhm.
Hogan, because he's on the set of his blockbuster film. We got Kevin Nash and Six and some other folk. I didn't write them down, so I don't remember. But they're out, and
Yep.
they've got some things to say to Ric Flair.
Mhm.
What do you make of this, Joseph?
I personally love this. Six says he doesn't say a lot, but he heard Banana Nose Flair out here last week saying the new generation has no respect. He says he
Mhm.
knows a bit about history of this sport and asks, how is it respectful to rip his entire gimmick from Nature Boy Buddy Rogers? He says he has no respect for Flair or Piper. Nash then details Piper's promo last week, the promo where he called them dumb, said we paved the road for you guys, and all that stuff. Really, really good promo. If you want to
Mhm.
hear that, you got to listen to our last episode. Nash says, coming from a guy, from the dumb comment, by the way, Nash says, coming from a guy who, if he had one less synapse firing in his brain, he'd be in a coma. Nash doesn't think too much about that. Nash says when he came into this business, the road wasn't just paved, it had potholes everywhere. He says those two strip mined the business and took everything they could and left the young guys behind them nothing. He says WCW
Mm.
at the time was nothing but a bunch of old guys pushing their sons. If you didn't have a dad in the building, you couldn't have an opportunity. Nash is shooting here. He says,
Yes,
though
he is.
he himself was green, which I do love that Nash says that. He goes, look, I was green. But Scott Hall, on the other hand, was ready to become a superstar. So how did the WCW repay him? They cut his salary, so he had to leave. He says when they went to New York, they didn't get to party like Piper and Flair did. Instead, they and the other young guys had to work their asses off to get the business out of the funk that their predecessors left it in. Kind of true. Nash is really just telling facts here. He's really spot on what's going on. Nash says where he comes from, the south side of Detroit, you don't give respect, you don't get respect. You better beat the respect out of me, boys. He says, it's our time to shine. It's the new generation's turn. There are some young lions here, and it's their time to get more than a nibble on the carcass. He says they will continue to work hard to patch the old generation's potholes. And like that, we have Scott's favorite storyline.
We're back in. We're back in. Yeah,
This
it's good.
This is an A+. This is fantastic. Nash, so to give, in case people don't know, Nash really didn't say anything that you can actually say is a lie there. Are some of them skewed towards his point of view? Sure. You could definitely make that point. But he's not wrong. Like, he wasn't given a chance. He had to work his ass off to get it. Scott Hall wasn't given a chance. He had to work his ass off to get it. And so you take them and they go to the WWF and they become part of WWF's. I like that they called it the new generation a number of times because that's what WWF was calling this group in the early 90s, the new generation of WWF. And a lot of people shit on it for not being as good as the previous generation. They had to work their asses off to kind of make it even semi relevant again. That's all true. And it's because the last guys took all the money they could. They took everything they could get and they did just up and leave. And they left them with the fucking, pieces. And there's more to it, right? The steroid scandal, a lot of different things. There's a lot that goes into it. But from Nash's point of view, nothing he said is wrong. It's all factual. To be fair, from Flair and Piper's point of view, I don't think really anything that they've said is wrong either. It all kind of makes sense. This storyline has so much meat on the bone. It's all right there. And Six really is a great example of someone who deserves to be in a story like this, because you can talk about Nash not getting a chance, but he eventually became WWF champion as Diesel. Scott Hall, multiple time Intercontinental champion. And, Six, aka 123 Kid, other than a tag team championship, really, really had to bust his ass for a long time to get nothing. So they're finally in a position of power. And now all these old guys are throwing a fit. The young guys have power. And it's a legit reason for the young guys to be like, no, go fuck yourselves. So it's a great angle. Every single part of this just works from all sides.
We like when the bad guys make points, right? Like we were talking about this with Jim Cornette. When Jim Cornette was shooting, and it's like, he's not wrong. Kevin Nash is not wrong. He was in WCW. A lot of these guys, it's kind of amazing how many guys WCW had that they did nothing with in the early 90s that went over to WWF and became stars, right? Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker was in WCW for a little bit.
Mankind.
They cut Mankind. They fired Diamond Dallas Page. That's part of the reason Kevin Nash left, was because they cut DDP, who, doesn't go to WWF, but becomes their flagship, their hero, really, Sting is the franchise. I'd say DDP is kind of Sting was like the franchise for the early 90s. And I think DDP kind of becomes the franchise towards the end. I mean, Sting's there too, but DDP is your face, right? Yes. Sting's kind of more of that Stone Cold, I'm a face with a dark side kind of thing, but DDP is just kind of your straight up face. He's a little rough around the edges, but he's a diamond in the rough, but he's your face, right?
Yeah.
And they let all these guys go. Every single one. It makes a lot of sense. I liked it. I like this storyline. How quickly is it going to die? Probably pretty quick. We're just gonna go back to this. We're gonna go back to the same old bullshit real fast. But right now, I'm interested. And that leads us to our main event, though. We got DDP versus Psychosis. And what a match it is. 50 seconds. Tell me about it, Joseph.
Tony Schiavone always horn dogs over Kimberly, which, to be fair, she's insanely gorgeous, but like, chill the fuck out, dude. DDP quickly hits an avalanche diamond cutter for the win. And like you said, it was 50 seconds? Very quick. And then we hear, ooh, yeah, DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. Can you feel the madness all around you? If you can't feel the madness, ask Kimberly, because she sure felt it. Yes, she has. What's wrong, brother? And then DDP says, Savage won't bait him again. He's like, I'm not doing this with you again. He doesn't have his running shoes on this time. This time he has his wrestling boots on. So he challenges Mach to hobble down right now and go against him mano a mano. There is a man with the bushiest mustache I've ever seen next to Mach just screaming at him, and I laughed. This isn't the best DDP and Mach segment. I'm going to give this one a solid B, mostly because the match, like you said, is like done. It's just over.
Yeah.
Part of it might be because they were actually running out of time by this point, because we've had a lot of things happen. So it's still really solid, though, and still something you look forward to kind of on a weekly basis at this point.
Yeah, and it's really just for the match is for the storyline. It's for DDP and Macho Man to continue their rivalry, which we're enjoying. But we're not done with the night, because after that, Mean Gene calls out Rowdy Piper, Ric Flair, and Kevin Green, because we got to have Kevin Green, for a response to Kevin Nash and Six. And Ric Flair just tells Kevin Nash and Six if they want to come down and pave that highway, they can pave it right to the ring. And let's do this thing. I liked it. And they do. They come out. But they don't come out alone, do they, Joseph? We've got the return. Hey, yo. It's me. It's Scott Hall, baby. He's back. I loved it. Tell me, what'd you think?
It is good. It does fall a little flat for me because of how it ends, which is the NWO surround the ring, and then Vincent, Bagwell, Fake Sting, and Norton charge, and they get knocked out immediately. Finally, everyone gets into the ring, and we've run out of time, so we fade straight to black. Kind of a meh end to it. But yes, it is the triumphant return of Scott Hall, so presumably he will be in that May 18th match. That's cool, but also, I don't know if he's been gone enough to have finished his rehab the way he needs to. So,
true.
So
the answer to that is he hasn't, because he keeps relapsing. So not enough time, but we love Scott Hall, so we're happy to see him, even though maybe he should have taken more time. But I honestly kind of like the way it ends. I like that it goes to black. I like that it ends on that cliffhanger, because we got Slamboree, man. I kind of liked it. They've gotten me interested now. I was not interested in Slamboree. Now I'm interested, right? Because we've got some good storylines brewing here. But we've also got some storylines at the WWF, who's at the Broome County Arena, Broome, in Binghamton. I don't even know. These are made up names.
Yeah.
Binghamton, New York, for WWF RAW.
Great. Now we just lost all of our Binghamton, New York fans. They've all gone because you said there's something made up.
That's like half our audience.
Yeah, that's a large chunk that you just disrespect.
Big fans of the pod, Binghamton. Yeah. But we're live with Raw, April 21st, 1997. We've just come off of our pay-per-view, the Revenge Rise Return of the Taker. And we're just excited to be here, aren't we?
We are. And if you want to hear about that pay-per-view, $2 a month on our Patreon. You can go watch it.
Incredible deal. Incredible deal. The show starts with some clips from last night, which I'm not going to tell you about because you got to listen to the Patreon. Yeah. And we'll just get right to it because Stone Cold Steve Austin comes to the ring and he's got a bone to pick. And he's going to tell Vincent K. McMahon all about it. Joseph, why don't you tell us about it?
This episode is essentially Monday Night Austin. I'm just going to let you all know right now. Vin Man asks Austin about his upcoming WWF title match at the next pay-per-view. He actually has a match against Undertaker for the title. So he's, has a big win, maybe through some shenanigans. Again, you got to, $2 a month. You got to go watch it. But he's coming off a big win. So he's got a title match. He's now in the quote unquote main event scene. And Austin says, the first thing I want you to do is shut your stinking hole. He says, we ain't talking about Richmond or wherever the hell the pay-per-view is, which I love because he actually just forgot and just rolled with it.
Why not?
Tonight, we're talking about Bret the Hitman Hart. Last night, the whole world saw me whip his ass right in the middle of the ring with his world-famous sharpshooter. You ain't got to like it, but it's damn well what happened. The only reason I ain't finished with Bret is because the Bulldog and Owen came out here and saved his little carcass. So all I want tonight out of you and the WWF is for Bret Hart to bring his ass out here right now. Don't worry about putting on your little black and pink tights because they look like crap anyway. I will disagree here. Bret's tights are actually great. They're fantastic.
He's got great gear.
Got great gear. I don't want to wrestle you, Bret. It ain't over because I told you it never would be over as long as I'm breathing air. Some say they're still fighting to this day. So you come out here right now in a street fight and I'll beat your ass back to Canada. And you got 1 minute. You got 1 minute to get out here. And then Austin doesn't check his watch. He's not wearing one. He grabs McMahon's hand and checks McMahon's watch, which I loved. A clock appears on the Titantron, very convenient, and counts down to 0 from a minute. And the crowd counts with it because they are hyped, as they should be. It goes to 0, and Austin shouts, I knew damn well you didn't have the guts to show up, so I'll come back there and get you. But then Bret appears on the Titantron and says he accepts. He calls Austin a hyena, like he's been saying forever, then the U.S. fans hyena, and says they have no morals and ethics and don't care about family values. And then Bret questions how Austin got a title shot and says after tonight, Austin will go straight to hell. Austin grabs Vin Man's arm and shouts into the mic, if I'm going straight to hell, you're damn sure coming with me. And then Austin heads to the back and searches for Bret. And we start off with a complete banger. It's an A+ from Austin.
Oh, it's perfect. It's fantastic. I love my favorite part is, the big reveal that Austin is going to take on Taker at the pay-per-view. And he just says, I don't care. I don't care about that. I don't care about Taker because I'm not done with Bret. And that's, oh my God, it's so good. And again, Bret makes a good point about why does Austin get a title shot and he doesn't. I think it's a fair thing to ask, right? And so I feel like all around good promo gets me hyped for everything that's going to happen tonight. I'm so excited for what's going to come next. Oh, it's Ahmed Johnson versus the Sultan. Why? 5 minutes, 51 seconds. Tell me about this.
Look, I'll be real honest. It's not great, but I'm not going to let it bring me down because overall this night is quite good. So, my first note here though is what a match to go right into right after that hot start, and we just go right into a snooze fest. Ahmed does hit an impressive suplex face buster during this, followed by a mid spine buster. Ahmed is ready to hit his Pearl River plunge when the Nation appear at the entrance ramp, and the Sultan takes advantage. Nation heads towards him, but he grabs 2x4, and Ahmed gets DQ'd by repeatedly hitting the Sultan with it. Gets a D.
Yeah, thank God there was a 2x4 under there.
Yeah.
or else I don't know what he would have done. Thank God. Thank God it was there. Yeah, it's just a whatever match. It's obviously it's pushing the storyline of Ahmed and Farouk, so that's fine. But we don't care about that. We care about Stone Cold Steve Austin breaking everything backstage. Absolutely everything. Looking for the Heart Foundation. Anything you want to add to this?
I just gave it an A+. It's very quick. Austin finds Brett's locker room and is hitting the door with a chair as all the WWF officials are on the other side holding the door closed, and Brett's screaming, "Don't let him in! Don't let him in!" It's great. It's fantastic.
Yep. And then we cut to Sunny. She's selling an Undertaker t-shirt, $20. That's great.
That's
And
cool.
and then like you said, we go straight back to it where Austin is still on his friggin' tear. He wants Brett tonight. It's great. Then we go to some footage of Tiger Ali Singh, who apparently beat Brett at the Kuwait Cup, which is, I guess, why. Or I'm sorry, he didn't beat Brett. He beat Owen Hart at the Kuwait Cup, which is probably why Brett was in Kuwait for that event. Are we excited for Tiger Ali Singh? Joseph?
So excited. I cannot co-wait.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Look, I know
In
I
other
made
news,
I know I made that joke last week, but I would appreciate a little more fanfare next time.
the Vince slap for you. But in other news, Vader is in prison.
Yes.
This is the famous moment where they were all in Kuwait. Vader and I think Undertaker went on a Kuwaiti kind of like a Good Morning America kind of program where
morning talk show.
they're chatting. Yeah, and the talk show host decided to get a little cheeky and asked them about it being fake.
Yeah.
Which made Vader mad, and he proceeds to lift the guy up by his shirt and ask him if this looks fake to him. Why Undertaker sits there going, "Holy shit, what's like?" Taker just looks like a deer in headlights.
My favorite part about it is Taker, because Taker is cool as a cucumber, just sitting there watching the whole thing happen. But also, like, part of him is clearly like, "Wow, this is escalating," but the other part's like, "Yeah, get him."
Yeah, like I just don't think Taker knows what to do. He's just kind of like, what? Yeah, so Vader's grabbing him by the shirt, doesn't hit him, although he's threatening to hit him. The guy backs down and says it's not fake or whatever. But that's assault.
Yes.
And even in Kuwait, that's assault. And they held Vader for a little while, apparently. And we're on day 9 of Vader being held by the Kuwaiti government.
The fact that they have a graphic for Vader held in Kuwait and it's ticking the days off that he's still there is the funniest fucking absolute Vince thing ever. Just like, my guy's in jail in a foreign country, but I'm going to have some fun with this.
Make it work. Make that shit work. Jerry drew a picture apparently of Vader shoveling camel poop in the desert. So we got a little art there from Jerry. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it. Yeah. And then we go to Ken Shamrock, who's got opinions on the whole thing and wants to fight Vader in a no holds barred match. So we got that. Anything? Oh, and then also Ken Shamrock also again mentions the Mike Tyson challenge, which nothing comes of. But there's that. You got anything more to add about any of this?
No, Ken Shamrock calls Vader a bully and says he's always had a problem with bullies. So this is they're trying to build towards a match at the next pay-per-view between Ken Shamrock and Vader. And they need it to be available, but they also don't know when they're getting Vader back, so they don't know if he's gonna make it. So they're planting the seeds where they need to. Ken Shamrock has to drive this whole thing, which he's not the guy to drive this because he's so new. It's not even an offense to Ken Shamrock. He just started. So he's trying to make that work. And then, like you said, he calls out Mike Tyson. And I think it's because they're going, maybe we can have some sort of pivot and maybe we can get Mike Tyson. They will eventually get Mike Tyson, not for Ken Shamrock. But he calls Tyson a bully as well. And then he this just tanks when he decides to bring up the rape charge against Mike Tyson. Just free floating, oh yeah. And then you raped that person. It's like, what the fuck? Like, all right. Yes, the charge exists. Weird time to bring it up.
Allegedly.
Yes. All right. So that's what happens.
Yeah, the whole thing is wild. But not as wild as what we get next, because we get our street fight. We get
Hold on.
What?
You can't.
What?
You can't.
What?
You can't call something more wild than a rape charge. That does.
The whole segment was insane. I'm not talking about
I know
rape charge specifically.
I know
the whole thing was nuts.
I know what you mean, but that was an odd jumping off point.
All right, okay. Now I'll change it. Now for something more serious than that. No, wait, that doesn't work. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, we got a street fight. Because I don't know how to segue now. Apparently, I'm not allowed to segue. Because we got Steve Austin, Bret Hart. We've got the street fight, and it's fun. Tell me about it. This thing goes about 8 minutes. Tell me about the street fight.
So, backstory: Bret Hart does need surgery on his knee at this point in his career. It's very badly hurt. He's been dealing with it for a while. He talks about in his book how he's so good that you couldn't tell at all that his knee was hurt. In Bret's eyes, it's because he's a great performer, but when Shawn does it, he's a liar. Anyways, the Hart Foundation helped to attack Steve Austin when my boy right there, that one right there.
Couldn't figure out which one.
I actually like both of them, but I'm bigger fan of Shawn Michaels. Runs in and clears them out with the chair. So now it's just Bret versus Austin. Austin relentlessly targets Bret's injured knee with the chair. Now, according to Bret in his book, these shots actually really fucked up his knee even more because he's wearing jeans. They couldn't properly pad his knee the way they wanted to. They were going to make this so that way you could hit it, but it wouldn't do any more damage because it's padded. But he was wearing jeans, so they didn't really know how to do that and make it work. So he unintentionally takes some really, really stiff chair shots to the knee. He doesn't blame Austin. It wasn't Austin's fault. It wasn't anything like that. But it does hurt his knee even more. Austin locks in the sharpshooter and refs run in and they try and stop him. While in this lock, he actually turns to the refs and flips them off, which is just chef's kiss fantastic. We cut to commercial and we come back. Bret is injured in the ring. Commentary saying Austin snapped his knee. EMTs come in and check in on Bret while Owen and Bulldog shout, his leg is broken and his wrist is broken. They can't really decide which one it is. Maybe both. We cut to the back and Gorilla Monsoon. Yeah. We cut to the back and Gorilla Monsoon wants to know what the hell is the matter with Austin? And then Austin says, the hell do you mean what's wrong with me? I told you what I was going to do to Bret Hart and I did it. He's kind of right. Monsoon says you're out of control. And Austin says you're damn right. And I ain't through yet. Austin says he doesn't care about the rules. And what is Monsoon going to do about that? Monsoon kicks Austin out of the building with Austin screaming at him on the way out. Hart screams on the gurney as EMTs attempt to cart him out. Instead, for whatever reason, Owen and Bulldog decide to carry him out, which could not have been a better option than a gurney, but all right, whatever. It gets an A+. It's fantastic. I'm laughing about the Bret injured thing, not because he's hurt, but because him and the Hart Foundation are selling the fuck out of it, and they're making it entertaining. Yeah. They do a great job.
Yeah.
Gets an A+. It's fantastic, and we will definitely not see Austin for the rest of the night.
Not at all. He's been kicked out of the building.
Yep.
And he's just so respectful to Gorilla Monsoon. He does it. He leaves and will not return.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get to that thing that doesn't happen, we've got a match. And boy, what a match it is. It's Tiger Ali Singh versus Salvatore Sinceri. Wow. It's how long is it? 4 minutes, 43 seconds. Boy, howdy. Tell me about it.
During this, we see Brett carted to the ambulance. Now he is on the gurney. Owen is yelling at officials and EMTs. And then while this is happening, Singh wins with a spinning heel kick. I'm giving it a C because it's not really fair to give it a bad grade because we never actually got to watch the match itself. We just kind of got to see the finish. So not really fair to Tiger Ali Singh, who they're trying to pump up in some sort of way. He's obviously not going to be a big player for WWF, but I don't really blame him on this one. So get to see.
Yeah, meanwhile, though, as you said, they're loading our boy Brett into the ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that Stone Cold has not left the building.
Wait, what?
Surprisingly enough. Turns out he's in the driver's seat of the ambulance and proceeds to beat Brett's ass in the ambulance. It is so good.
Yes.
This is great. The whole, I don't even care about the matches tonight. The Brett Austin stuff is fantastic because
yes,
most of the matches aren't really that great, to be perfectly honest, like tonight. But this is so good. What did you think about this? Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm looking at the matches. I think there's one really solid match, and the rest of them are kind of whatever matches, which I think it was this time a good call because we need to focus so heavily on this. It's fantastic. My favorite part is that when they're trying, so the EMTs, they put him in the ambulance, and Owen and Bulldog are barking orders at everyone, and the back doors, they close the back doors, and the EMT driver runs around to the front door, and he's trying to open it, and it's locked, and then there's a cameraman conveniently inside the EMT, and we see Austin in there, and Austin just shouts, "I told you I was going straight to hell," and then he runs back and just starts beating the hell out of a tied up heart, and he has to be dragged away. It's fantastic. Yep. It's great. It's an A+. I said it earlier, this is Monday Night Austin. This is what this episode is. And you'd think, okay, well, now it's over because Hart does get taken away in the ambulance, and it is over for Hart, but Austin will be back as the night progresses.
And I think one of the best parts about this is he's beaten his ass in the ambulance, and Owen and Bulldog, they open the doors because like they got to help their guy. Austin kicks them away and like pushes the stretcher out of the ambulance and then continues to beat Brett's ass.
He's like tilted leaning up against the back of the ambulance, and Brett's just stuck there as he's just
because he's
out of him.
It is cinema. It's fantastic. They eventually fight Austin off, and Brett gets put in the ambulance and driven off. But we are not done. We are not done with that. But we got to get through some crap first. Mainly Jesse James versus Rockabilly, which we just freaking saw. Why are we doing this again? We had this match at the pay-per-view. It sucked then. It sucks now. And this thing is 8.5 minutes, man. It is 8 minutes, 48 seconds. That's crazy. Tell me.
My first note is we're so close to peak Raw, and things like this keep reminding us that we're not there yet. Commentary spends more time arguing about other feuds than this one. Cameras go to the other side of the building to get an update on Stone Cold. We won't have an update yet. It'll happen after the match. Rockabilly wins with a clean swinging neck breaker. Like, there's no shenanigans. I actually had to go back and rewatch it because I was like, there's no way he just won clean, right? No, he won clean. I'm going to real quickly pause because we've done this long enough that if you're a new listener or viewer, or you don't know what the term clean means, it means to win without any sort of shenanigans. causing your defeat. So another heel interferes with the match, and that's how you lose. You did not lose clean. Something else created the loss. So to lose clean is a huge deal. What this means is we just buried Jesse James because Rockabilly beats him with nothing else going on. Honky Tonk Man's there the whole time and does not interfere. So Jesse James just loses. Okay. Back to the match. James attacks Rockabilly afterwards, and Honky Tonk Man hits James with his guitar and leaves him laying on the floor. It's not great. I didn't hate it. It's not the worst thing we've seen. I'm going to give it an optimistic C, but like this is going to get worse. It's going to get way worse.
What are you talking about? Rockabilly won clean. It's over. Right?
Yep, absolutely.
No, it goes for like 6 fucking months. Cool. I'm so excited. After that, though, we go to the locker room where Shawn and Stone Cold Steve Austin are together. And Shawn just wants to make it clear that he's not Steve's ally. He's just there to mess up Brett. And Gorilla tells Steve Austin that he's going to lose his wrestling license, which I didn't know was a thing. But apparently he's going to lose it. Leave your badge and your gun and get out of here. Anyways, what'd you think of this?
I liked it. It's not perfect. It's also very quick, which I do appreciate. One of the big things is that Austin is saying that HBK has no business helping him because Austin's big thing is don't trust anyone, DTA, he doesn't want anybody's help. And HBK, like you said, mentions, I'm not helping you. I'm hurting them. That's my goal. We just happen to be aligned on this, but we are not friends. And I like that. I do think that's good. It will lead to a fun little storyline with them that we'll talk about in more detail in the next few weeks. But it just kind of ends. The two continue to argue as Monsoon tries to talk sense into them, and then he kind of forces them to walk away from each other. So it gets a B from me.
Yep. It worked. It worked for me. After that, we get the slam of the week, the Castrol slam of the week for the record. And it's a Mankind going through the commentary table at In Your House, which is not the last time Mankind will go through the commentary table, but it was our slam of the week.
Yeah.
And speaking of Mankind, before our main event, we get a video of him on the Titantron. He's talking about how Paul Bearer getting his face burned off has really made him closer to Paul because they both are now disfigured, and it's beautiful. I think the whole thing's just beautiful. You got any thoughts, or should we go into our main event?
Let me see if there's anything on that. Nope. Trying the main event.
All right. This is our main event, the WWF Championship on the line, right? Yep. It is on the line. It's Undertaker. What?
Is it on the line?
I got it here. It's for the WWF Championship. Undertaker versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. 12 minutes, 30 seconds. Maybe I'm lying, but there is a title there.
Okay. Hunter and China walk down for their match, and Taker runs out to greet them with his fists. Interesting way of greeting someone. China decides that this time, maybe I won't engage the male wrestler. Maybe I'll just kind of let them figure out their own thing, which I thought was pretty good character work. The two have a very fun match. Frankly, it's a very, very fun match. And then we see Dustin Rhodes, also known as Goldust, and Marlena are sitting in the crowd. They're taking in this match tonight. Mankind has a blowtorch, and I laughed out loud. He walks down in the ring with a blowtorch. It's lit, and he hits Taker with the acetylene bottle, which JR correctly calls by name, and I was surprised by that. This causes the DQ, and Mankind continues his vicious attack on Taker. Mankind tries to relight the torch, but Taker chokes him and takes the fight back to him as they head through the crowd. Now, China can't believe what she's watching as she watches them head out. She's like stunned, and she's kind of looking off, and she's right up against the railing. And then Marlena just grabs her and chokes her with a belt, just chokes her around the neck with a belt. And which is great because obviously we've seen a number of weeks where China fucks with Marlena, chokes her out, bear hug, different things. And Hunter realizes this. He runs over, and Dustin jumps through the crowd, and he attacks Hunter. and we head to commercial as these two fight. So in this one segment, we got to see the continuation of Mankind and Taker's rivalry. Now kind of centered around burning each other's faces because of what's happened over the last few weeks, and a rivalry that kind of had gone to the wayside a little bit with Dustin Rhodes and Hunter Hearst Helmsley now gets re-sparked because now Rhodes and Marlena are able to take advantage of Hunter and China in the way they've been doing for weeks. So I really liked this. I gave this whole thing an A. I thought the match was fun. We saw two very big rivalries in WWF get storylines furthered. It made a lot of sense. I thought it was booked pretty perfectly.
Yeah, and then we go to commercial, and we come back, and we get a recap of Goldust and Terry Runnels handling their business. Marlena handling the business with Triple H in China. And we also get a rewind from earlier, brought to us by Motel 6, no less, of Bret Hart getting his ass beat in the ambulance. Because that's what Motel 6 wants to be associated with. After that, though, we get Stone Cold Steve Austin one more time. I don't know why he hasn't been kicked out of the building. I thought he was told to leave. But he's back, baby. And he's got things to say, doesn't he, Joseph?
He does. My first note is that he's been all over this show. I think WWF has finally realized he is the guy. Vin Man says it's been an eventful 24 hours for Austin, who must feel pretty good about himself. And Austin says, I told the world that I would send Bret Hart straight back to Canada, and that's exactly what I did. The thing that gets me is I don't see why everyone's so happy because none of you helped me do a damn thing. I did it by myself. You wave all your little signs, Austin 316, Stone Cold said so, whatever. And you, Vin Man, with your little dimple chin, which I laughed at, gets on national television. It's true. And gets on national television and starts running compliments up the yin yang. Because all of a sudden you want to jump on the Stone Cold bandwagon more than anybody in the world. Tell me I'm wrong. McMahon doesn't disagree. And Austin says, cause you can't, and I'll knock your ass out in front of the whole world. As far as I'm concerned, Bret the Hitman Hart is through and finished in the World Wrestling Federation, in the world, period. It's 1 down, 2 to go. Bulldog and Owen have hell to pay. Vin Man says it seems that Austin will have hell to pay when he faces Taker. Again, kind of Vin Man just wants to bring up the fact that Austin and Taker are going at each other all night. And every time he does, somebody gets their ass beat. So maybe cool it, Vin Man. Austin says Undertaker's going to have the coldest day in hell. So Cold Day in Hell must be the next pay-per-view. Let me check. Yep. He could ever imagine in Virginia or whatever the hell it is. I love that he's sticking with that. Like he now knows it's Virginia, but doesn't wherever it has to be. Say what you want because I really don't give a damn. You show up with all your little tombstones and your little creatures of the night. But the most important thing I want you to do is bring your little golden belt and shine it up because you will hand it over to Steve Austin. I am the ruler of the world. You ask because you have to ask what's going to happen with Stone Cold as the World Wrestling Federation champion. If you think for one split second, son, that I'm going to be a good role model, you got another thing coming. That's all I got to say. That's the bottom. And then Owen attacks Austin from behind. Owen Hart, who we thought had left with Bret, attacks Austin. And Bulldog joins in as well. And the two men beat him down. This attack lasts a good while. And Owen pushes Vin Man down when he tries to stop them. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, HBK runs in with the steel chair. He clears house, and Austin is knocked out on the mat. Vin Man tells officials to get help for Austin. Austin slowly gets to his feet. Now, while this has happened, HBK had chased them out. So HBK is no longer in the ring. He's gone. Austin slowly gets back up to his feet when Brian Pillman attacks him from behind. JR excellently connects the fact that Austin had hospitalized Pillman, and this is his revenge. Pillman destroys Austin with some chair shots. He tries to snap Austin's leg with the chair like Austin did to him, but HBK runs in and clears him as we fade to black. This is another A+. There are so many good moments in this show, and the few negatives it has just get brushed aside because it is such a banger show.
as you said, it's the Stone Cold. It's the Stone Cold show. It's Monday Night Stone Cold.
Yeah.
You know, it's all him. I think HBK does really good work in this too. The fact that he comes in and his focus, because he said earlier, I don't care about you. This is really this is me and the Hart Foundation. Because he clears them out and chases them off. Doesn't check on Stone Cold. Doesn't even really look at the guy. Just doesn't care. It doesn't matter. He's after the Hart Foundation. So I think that was all good. Really good storytelling. Just kind of those small little things that I think make it special. Yeah. I don't think I have to ask, but I'm gonna ask. Who won tonight? Did Raw or Nitro win?
It's a clear landslide. Raw killed Nitro. In the ratings, they didn't. They're still losing in the ratings, but this is so much better show than Nitro was.
Yeah. And really on the back of one man.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, who worked for WCW and they let go, which just kind of brings it full circle, right? I agree. I think Raw wins. Stone Cold is just an absolute tour de force tonight. The ambulance stuff is iconic. It's fantastic. I don't even think we talked about it, but there's the part where he's sitting on the turnbuckle waiting for the street fight, which is actually kind of one of those iconic images of him that you see that they use over and over and over again. Of Stone Cold sitting on the turnbuckle, kind of looking down. It's great. It's good. It's got me interested in Coldest Day in Hell or whatever the pay-per-view is in Virginia or wherever it is. I'm excited. I like it. Yeah. And I hope you all continue to tune in. If you're not a subscriber to the Patreon and want to hear about that pay-per-view, it's only $2 a month. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening and thanks for supporting us. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.